Jen, were you partying all night long? España on to the World Cup final.
So we definitely watched the game, and it was fun because we were at home watching the game and our feed was 30 seconds behind. And so for all the goals, we just heard the entire city scream, and then we're like, well, we know what's coming. But I'm actually kind of surprised by Spain because we're now, or we, as if I'm Spanish now, but Spain is going to the finals, and the parties have just been kind of subdued. Like, I was in Germany when they won like a quarterfinal of some EU only fucking tournament. I don't even know what it was.
Euros.
Yeah, and they like shut down the bus system because they were partying in the streets, and like it was absolutely wild. It went all night. By about an hour after the game last night, it was quiet. Went to bed. I'm living on a very touristy street full of bars. Like, it's, I don't know. Like, the vibe here is weird and quiet.
It was passionate but dispersible.
Yeah, like it was more bar by bar, but like I went to some of the main plazas right as the game was starting yesterday just to see, like, is there a watch party? Is there anything? Nothing. So and I don't know if that's a Barcelona thing because a lot of people here want to be Catalan, like they want to split from Spain. So I don't know if that's just this city or if, like, I'm not really sure, but I haven't seen any watch parties. I'm hoping it's different on Sunday with the finals, but no, I was in bed at a reasonable time last night to everyone's surprise.
Yeah, yeah.
Still fun to be here, though.
You would have thought it was wild. People were screaming, hanging from the lampposts.
Yeah, and actually, it was when Argentina, I think, got through the quarterfinals that a bunch of people randomly went to the version of the Arc de Triomphe that they have here, and there were hundreds of people hours after the game singing and chanting and climbing poles and, like, you know, the ruckus you would imagine. I saw more of a ruckus for Argentina here than I did for Spain, which kind of makes sense because Messi, who I guess is the star of Argentina's team, he played for Barcelona.
Yes.
And so, yeah, he's got a lot of fans around here, but I think I see just as many Messi jerseys as I see Spain jerseys in general. Like, even the outfits around here, like, you know how we are. Like, if our team was going to the Super Bowl, we'd all be wearing jerseys. You know, it just wasn't like that for the quarters or the semis.
I'd wonder whether or not, you know, I guess all the remotes that they were showing on the broadcast were from Madrid. Yeah. So maybe that's a different vibe. Messi playing today. This game will have already been played by the time that anybody listens to this against England. We will find out indeed if it's coming home, bruv.
Or if it's rigged for Argentina. I've been down that rabbit hole today. Like, soccer's so, like, I don't know.
Shady.
I want to like it, but the rules don't seem universally applied, and there's too many conspiracy theories. There's too much fighting. Like, I'll be kind of happy when the World Cup is over now. Like, I've lost my buzz for it. Yeah.
When the game was over, and that was the final game, I believe, at Jerry World in Arlington, Texas, all I could think of was like, man, get these bisexuals off the field. Just wait until Cooper Rush is sailing a pass over George Pickens' head on 3rd and 15 in a few months, and then you'll see some real athleticism.
Wow. No comment.
No, I don't know. Not to rehash stuff that I've seen on Twitter, but that has been it's always very interesting, America's relationship with the World Cup, because you have obviously a sports crazed public that then is introduced to this game, which has its own bizarre thing. But, you know, it's like you have an absolute to the millimeter definition of what offsides is, where they have lasers guiding the idea that if somebody's, you know, eyebrow hair is past some plant foot, I guess, of the other player, then it's offsides. You've got a very capricious ref that can knock somebody not only out of that game, but also out of the next game in the tournament. And yet, the one thing that you would assume guides all ability to play the game, the time of it, just kind of, you know, bullshit
Yeah.
it decided at some point. The ref is like, man, this feels like the time to end the game, and they just blow the whistle. There's no like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There's none of that. Like it is just kind of well, you know, and you know. It's like pornography to these refs.
Yeah, I think about like our version of football a lot, because part of the fun of sitting there for 3 hours watching football is we all, at least those of us who pay a lot of attention, we know the rules and we fight over the rules and we rewatch those plays and we're like, nope, that was this. And like we can do in soccer, you just can't. Like there was one guy that got called because he pulled another guy's jersey, and then 2 minutes later you'll see someone get absolutely decked with an elbow to the head and it's fine. Like how is that real? So if I can't really understand the rules and I just kind of have to go with this, like whatever goes based on whatever ref gets assigned, like I don't know. I like rules. I like them fairly applied.
You are a fan of a rules-based order. I had an electrifying World Cup watching experience this weekend, Jen, where in a Vegas Strip barbecue restaurant with 107 degrees outside, I sweated out a 2.5 goal under with England and Norway, while a just befuddled Andrew Heaton and Reason's Billy Binion sat in front of me discussing all manner of random shit as I, just gripped the table into ripping the pine wood out so I could win $30.
Justin did a great job gambling. So, listeners, just so you know, I took very seriously the money that you all sent me for gambling purposes. I totaled a gross of $60 that I felt a ethical compulsion to waste on gambling. By the way, it's very strange. When someone gives you money to gamble with and you're required to do it, it becomes homework. Like it became a task I had to do of like, I'm so tired, but I have to go downstairs and gamble. We did find the AI robot racing. It is fun. However, it's fun in the way that pinball is fun. Like it's still like, it's not as fun as like, I don't know, Call of Duty, but it's more fun than a slot machine. One insight, I'm going to say 80% of the games in Las Vegas are just random number generators that have like very flashy graphics. And they don't terribly appeal to me. I do respect poker and I respect blackjack, although I don't play either of them. We did that. We played slots, which I find incredibly boring. I don't understand slots at all. We played Russian roulette, which I think is at least a pretty random number generator. Regular roulette. Regular roulette.
Yes,
Russian roulette was
American roulette.
Yeah. Okay.
Justin wasn't there for Russian roulette. I met some guys later. We had a fun time. No, we were downstairs at the link and we played regular non-gun roulette, which is also a random number generator that you're betting money on, but at least it has like a very pretty well-balanced wheel that you can watch. It's a little bit more elegant in terms of the and I ended up spending all $60. Justin made $30,000-$40,000. You do not need to send Justin money ever again. He's doing great.
So you said that you spent all $60. What did you bet on?
I bet 20 on the AI robot horses, which might have been my favorite actually, just because it was so like kind of novel / ridiculous. Like the AI robot horses felt to me like if my grandparents had been consulted in what should be inside of a casino. Like they had a pinball machine in their back room when I was growing up. So I enjoyed that one for the sheer kookiness and novelty of it. Then about $20 on the roulette table, which was fun enough. And then the rest of it on slots.
He was up and kept going, and then it all petered away.
Yeah, yeah. And then we did slots, which I think are dumb. I don't know. The slots I don't. You hit a button over and over again.
You were also very
drinks.
very sleepy.
I was I should say I was very I felt really bad because Justin was so pumped to show me all this stuff. Like he was having and I was like, Justin, I was having a great time with you. I really was. I was just so tired that like my body posture was the form of a question mark. I was just like Mr. Burns.
He was all right. So this was the view at the end of it. We were playing what I like to call family slots. So family slots is, everybody chips in the same amount of money. Somebody picks a machine You have a second. That person pulls the money when they think that it's getting too low. They pick the next machine. Round and round it goes until either everybody makes a gajillion dollars or all the money's gone. And so Heaton was on the Kong machine. So this is a King Kong machine.
Previously, I did find a Founding Fathers themed slot machine. That's what I initially gravitated towards.
And we were up. We were up like $40, and then we went. I wasted a bunch of money, and then we went to the Kong machine, and this is like a gigantic feast of light and sound. It is a very simple 3-reel thing, but you never know when King Kong's gonna hit it or slap it, or he's gonna get mad and you just win money. And Heaton's doing pretty well, but it's just like this huge CGI monkey that's like, "Ugh, ugh," and Heaton is just slowly powering down. Like his posture is just slowly wilting until eventually he's like, okay, I'm leaving. And I'm like, I understand why.
Yeah. It was all a good time. I don't know. Slots aren't for me. I'm like, for $60, I could just get another variation of Age of Empires 2, and then we could bet on that. And that would be more fun. But I had a very good time hanging out with my dear friend Justin, and to a lesser extent Billy Binion, and I did enjoy the experience. I'm not big on slot machines.
I only played slots when I was too poor to drink in Vegas, and so I would play this game where you watch where the cocktail waitress is because they always have the same rotation. And like right before she gets to a slot machine, you sit at the slot machine, then you order a shot and a beer. And then she comes back and you've spent like $1. And then you tip $1, of course. That's...
One of my favorite games in Vegas is Why Is That Lady Talking to That Guy? That's my favorite game to play in Vegas. So like we went and hung out with Jacob from Ice Cream Social, maybe the first or second night I was there. And I was like, it's like 11 p.m. at, I don't know, an Applebee's equivalent inside of some dank casino. And I'm like, that's one of the most attractive women I've ever seen in my entire life, in a dress designed by a Bond villain, and she's talking to just some dude. And my thought process was, well, okay, if she's a prostitute, why are they getting a drink here? Like, why aren't they just proceeding to why aren't they just going to the hotel room? Wouldn't that is he wanting the romance? And I was looking at their body language. It did not belie foregone intimacy. It was like they were doing a meeting or something. And so I went back to my room and I was kind of drunk and texted Justin. I was like, hey, can you figure out what was going on there? And I think the consensus was, no, it actually was a prostitute.
Well, they left together, number one.
Good for him. Maybe he just has a great personality. Maybe he has a great personality.
You are correct to identify her dressed to kill, him all of the flash and panache of a mainland Chinese middle manager. And they eventually left together. She was a hooker. That's where they meet. Sometimes, you book a hooker on the internet, and sometimes the hookers are just hanging out at the bar. You're like, oh my God, what's my luck? This smoke show is just chatting me up and talking about things, and boy, is she rubbing my hand. And then next thing you know, you get up to the room and she's like, oh, by the way, your free trial has ended. If you would like to renew your subscription, you can do so for a one-time fee. And, you can make a choice at that point exactly how horny you are, and that'll be that. But that I believe Jacob and I agreed. In fact, we then got into a larger conversation about the casinos and their policy toward these women, which is a bit interesting because if you're hot enough and you bring up the perceived value of the entertainment, then you're pretty much given free reign. If you are not hot enough or your energy mismatches the luxury. So if that girl was in a recreated dive bar in the Link called 99 Prince Avenue or something. So it's themed like a New York City dive bar. So her in that dress is like, plus, what is a woman this hot doing in a fake New York City dive bar? Right. But if you were to have her at like the Wynn, where a bunch of women are wearing dresses likely more expensive than hers, now she looks cheap and tawdry. Hit the bricks, hooker. You're not going to be able to stay there.
That's
Justin
fascinating.
Robert Young, you are our resident hooker culture expert.
I like
So
to
wait,
learn.
hold on. So there's like a gotta be hot enough thing. It's okay. So like in comedy,
Oh, yeah.
it's like, all right, was the joke super racist? Okay, how funny was the joke? If the
Yes.
joke's really funny, you can get away with anything, right? So it's that kind of thing of like, all right, is she a prostitute? 8, 9, 10? And if you're like, bus stop hooker, get out. But if she's
Go.
like a James Bond villain, I don't know why I'm going back to that. If she's like Gucci engineered supermodel hooker, totally fine. We're going to turn our backs to this.
Yeah, I think it's just. I mean, number one, it's very, very judgmental, and but them's the breaks in the big city. I guess there's plenty of places for low rent hookers. He said, assumingly. I don't know where it would be, but I assume that they have a home somewhere. If there ain't, there ought to be. Let's start a government program for it. You were missed, though. I was not able to get Heaton to put a sports wager. So our planned trip at some point to Vegas, where we can just put $500 worth of random sports wagers on Heaton's conscience. That is still in play, Jen. The beautiful
good.
dream lives on.
I need him to like experience the drama of watching 10 games at once and freaking
Yes.
out about all of them in the middle of a food court.
I think that needs to be its own thing, gang.
Yeah.
I enjoyed I enjoyed the spectacle of tiny robot horses competing against each other. That was fun. I enjoyed that. But it was shoehorned into a variety of other activities I had to do, in addition to going to a cocktail party with Kelsey Grammer. And so it wasn't something where I could completely focus on it. Next time we do it, we should actually just, that's the thing. We go there. Maybe I'll do some light whoremongering at night back at that Prince Street bar. But during the day, we're there for gambling purposes on sports.
Did you just drop a Kelsey Grammer in there?
I hung out with that guy a couple times over the course of my trip in Las Vegas. I wouldn't say we're friends, but I made him laugh a couple times. There's some photos floating around.
Why are you hanging out with Kelsey Grammer?
He has started a film company, or no, hold on. He started an history education entertainment company called 250 Stories, where they're going to do 250 stories about America to celebrate the 250th anniversary. So they'll do like the Star Spangled Banner. They'll do that guy that was really into peanuts, George Washington Carver. I think that's his name. That's one of them. So they're doing a bunch of those. So he was. I met him promoting that stuff.
Interesting.
He did not know Heaton. That was an upset. I thought for sure he would know Heaton, at least from a character from one of the Reason things.
Well, it's all right. From what I understand, I'm pretty sure he's pickled his brain a little bit. Is that? I'm pretty sure.
Fascinating backstory on Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah.
One
is
real
that a medical
note.
thing you heard, or just your latent bias towards conservatives, Jen?
No, I didn't know he was conservative. I have no fucking idea.
He's a recovering
what
alcoholic, if that's what you're alluding to. So my understanding, this is based off of reading. I did not talk to him about this. Based off reading like Wikipedia article and a couple of like going down the Frasier rabbit hole back in the day, he was an alcoholic at least at the beginning of Frasier. And at some point, the cast had an intervention with him, and he, I think, went to rehab and quit.
It was a mess.
All that, and I think is like on his 4th or 5th marriage, which might indicate that there was some tumult in his personal life.
Someone's been to the 99 at the link.
Seems to be fine now, although he did mention that he started a brewery in upstate New York, which seems like an odd thing for a recovering alcoholic to do.
Yeah.
And I asked his assistant about that, and she's like, no, he's fine. I think you might have used to have a problem. And I was like, all right, I don't think she's going to give me a straight answer. It might just be that he's doing the Trump thing, and like Trump owns a vodka company and he's never had a drink in his life. I don't know.
Sure.
But yeah, he used to pickle his brain, Jen. I think he's okay these days. Also, fun fact, if you listen to Rick and Morty, the girl that plays Summer is his daughter.
Oh, Spencer Grammer. That's
her.
Of Kelsey.
That's right. Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that. She's really funny. I've heard her on podcasts before.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Kelsey Grammer. One of the funniest things I've ever read was the guy who wrote the theme song for Frasier, and the tossed salads and scrambled eggs song, and like they didn't give him a lot to work on. They're like, you can't mention the city that it takes place in, you can't mention the main character, you just got to write this abstract thing. And he's like, okay, this is fucking amazing, I'm gonna write this thing. And so he writes this jazz number that he really loves, and he's like, oh, you want to know what, I'm gonna go to Mel Torme. Mel Torme is gonna do me a favor and he's gonna sing this song. And so he goes to Mel Torme, he plays it for Mel Torme. Mel Torme is like, oh, this is amazing, I can crush this, does a demo for it. The studio's like, we love it. And then Kelsey Grammer's like, I can sing it, and just does.
I'll do scat.
And that was I've never been able to read just depression in words before, but the printed version of that story is just like, yeah, and then Kelsey got a hold of it, and that was that. It's just amazing because he was so excited for Mel Torme. From Austin, Texas, I'm Justin Robert Young. From Barcelona, España,
I'm Jen Briney.
And from a scamp in his parents' backyard,
I'm Andrew Heaton.
And we're not wrong. On this edition of the program, we're going to talk about Lindsey Graham's death and the rise of Meta smart glasses and privacy in public spaces. All that, plus your emails from last week. But let's begin with the big news. Senator Lindsey Graham, the 71-year-old South Carolina Republican and central Trump ally, died unexpectedly over the weekend. Governor Henry McMaster, acting after Trump endorsed the move, appointed Graham's younger sister, Darlene Graham Nordone, to serve until Graham's term ends in January. She was sworn in Tuesday, 3 days after his death. Graham had been his sister's legal guardian after their parents died when she was a teenager, giving the appointment an unusually personal dimension. The temporary replacement avoids the immediate vacancy while South Carolina Republicans begin the special election process, but it also puts the GOP's narrow Senate majority and Graham's political legacy under a microscope, which leads us to this. Jen, what is the first line of your obituary for Lindsey Graham?
Good riddance to a legislative villain. This is a guy, I mean, you said he was 71 years old. He was trying to run for another 6-year term. It really appears this was the only way that he was going to leave the Senate. I mean, I kind of hoped that he would get kicked out of office to show that we weren't in support of his really horrendous
Speaking for
legacy.
your fellow South Carolinians?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand what people liked about Lindsey Graham if they weren't aware of what he did. So if you will indulge me for a second, I did go down the rabbit hole because I just wanted to give him a proper, resume overlook. Because he had been in Congress for 30 years and he did some things that fundamentally changed our Congress with the vote that our entire country with the vote that he had. So like the 2001 authorization for the use of military force, which we're still using this day to bomb people all over the world. He voted yes on that. He voted yes on the war in Iraq. In fact, he put his name on that one. He voted yes on the Patriot Act, which, crumpled up various constitutional amendments. He voted yes on the Military Commissions Act, which eliminated habeas corpus review for people held in Guantanamo Bay. That was actually ruled unconstitutional, but Lindsey Graham liked it, voted yes on it. He voted yes on the 2008 FISA amendments, which shredded the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution. More recently, he voted yes on the Big Beautiful Bill, which included savage cuts to health care, which will hit us after the midterms, paired with $140 billion for ICE and Customs and Border Patrol, with the authority to indefinitely detain non-citizens on U.S. soil. He then followed that up just last month with the Secure America Act. That has his name on it, which gives ICE and Border Patrol $70 billion additional dollars, which is far more than their annual appropriation, and which contained a provision that I don't think anyone is talking about that requires imprisonment for anyone without a proper visa who is charged, not convicted of anything, but charged for anything other than a minor traffic violation. It used to be that the Justice Department had the option to cage those people. Now it is a requirement, and that is thanks to Lindsey Graham. And then I looked into the bills that he said he had unfinished business. Well, this is some of the stuff that he wanted to do in his career. So in this Congress, he wrote a bill that would have subjected state and local officers, government employees, and private contractors to possible life in prison if they participated in the course of their jobs in the release of a human without a proper visa who then kills someone. So it's like, when I think about this, it's like, okay, so Trump gets legal immunity for anything he does on the job, but working for state and local government, even the private sector, can get you life in prison. Like, okay, Lindsey. That one, all the ones I'm going to tell you about now didn't become law, but this is the shit he wanted to do. Also on the topic of immigration, he wrote a bill removing independent oversight of the conditions inside of detention centers that house children. He wanted to give sole discretion of that to the Department of Homeland Security and expressly remove state authority to license family detention centers. He also wanted to remove the 20-day limit on imprisoning innocent children. He also wrote multiple bills to allow the imprisonment of people without trials accused of acting against the U.S. in the war on terror for as long as the war on terror continued, which is apparently forever because we still have a bunch of unconvicted individuals rotting in Guantanamo Bay prison who've been caged there for over 25 years. And I can actually tell you that a provision very similar to the bill that he wrote is included year after year after year in the appropriations bills. And that's how we have this unconstitutional caging of humans who have been convicted of nothing in Guantanamo Bay. We just forgot about them, but they've been in there for 25 years. He's also trying to get us into the Iran war forever. He wrote a bill to do so in 2024. So before, any of this, before Trump was even president. He also wrote a authorization for the use of military force in 2016 that was so broad that I published an entire Congressional Dish episode about it because it would have authorized war anywhere on earth for any amount of time as long as the stated target was ISIS or anyone associated with ISIS with no proof required. He was such an extremist. He also wrote a bill prohibiting state and local regulation of private ownership of firearms. He wrote multiple bills that would have exempted a bunch of professions. So like construction workers, funeral directors, IT professionals, paramedics, and more regular workers from minimum wage and overtime laws. He also was terrible for the environment. He, just 2 years after the Deepwater Horizon oil gusher, he wrote a bill that would have forced oil leases off the coast of his own state of South Carolina. And then he was always voting in favor of fossil fuel. And even in this Congress, he voted in favor of every awful pollution enabling law in this Congress. And there have been a lot. So it's the big, beautiful bill killed incentives for clean energy and expanded fossil fuel drilling. He got involved in California by voting to prevent California from implementing limits on nitrogen oxide. So it's when I look at the resume of what he did, he was terrible to the Constitution. He's caused millions of deaths with his votes for all of these different wars going back 30 years. And right now, I think one of the scandals, because right now, this week we've had, and it's not a topic on our show, but we have ICE now appearing again in the news because they've killed 2 more Americans or not Americans, but human beings in the street who appeared to have done, no real crime. And I don't think that we are paying enough attention to the fact that even our members of Congress can't get into these detention centers. We don't know what's going on there. I think we have people that have been languishing there. In fact, I know we have for an incredible amount of time for the misdemeanor so-called crime of just being here. Lindsey Graham has been instrumental in changing our laws to allow indefinite detention like that on American soil. I think he did a terrible job as senator. The country is worse off because of it. And if he wasn't going to leave this job, I don't really mourn the fact that he left because I am so happy that he's out of office. I can't mourn this death. And I know that, I'm looking online and people like Hunter Biden is like, well, he was nice to my dad once. I don't give a fuck. I think this was a bad person who did bad things. And good riddance to a legislative villain.
Heaton?
I don't want to fuel any conspiracy theories or muddy the waters, but I happen to have geolocation sharing services with Jen, and she was in South Carolina 3 days ago, and I think she killed him.
It's very odd because he died in D.C., but...
I've got a good alibi. I was in Las Vegas.
We were together,
sloshed with Kelsey Grammer.
We were all at the Venetian. or the Palazzo when news rattled out that Lindsey Graham had gone.
Was I the one that told you? Because I texted you the second I found out.
I think I found out from you, Jen, which is, again, suspicious. Very first person to know.
Yeah.
And you were in South Carolina at that exact time.
Well, it is also somebody for whom we immediately pestered to know what the Gay Whisper Network was saying.
Oh yeah, I've been down that rabbit hole. That's a fun
because
one.
we had a delegate among us of the Gay DC Whisper Network. But Heaton, go ahead.
The opening line to my eulogy is, in fact, the entire eulogy, which is, I don't like to speak ill of the dead. And that's kind of it.
You'd be a terrible obit writer. You would be an awful obit writer.
Okay, let me try a different one then. I think there's two ways that we can approach Lindsey Graham. We can either look at his legislative record, which Jen has litanized to great detail. I have a lot of problems with his track record as a senator. I'm more curious at this point about Lindsey Graham the character than I am Lindsey Graham the senator now that he's gone. And what I keep gravitating back to as a character, I think Lindsey Graham might on some deep level have needed to be a Robin to someone's Batman. Like I look at when John McCain was alive, I liked Lindsey Graham. When John McCain was alive, he seemed to be Maverick Jr. and would regularly vote on bipartisan things and buck his party, both of which I respected. McCain dies, and he gravitates to Donald Trump. And becoming the junior partner in the Trump coalition meant that instead of him being the bipartisan maverick, he became the rubber stamp for the MAGA coalition, a group that he very articulately and forcefully denounced up until he couldn't denounce them anymore, and then seemed to just kind of buckle. And Justin, maybe he explained why he ended up switching positions, but from what I can tell, he kind of just said, look, like it's important to be close to whoever's in power. This guy's in power, so I'm going to do it. So I'm intrigued by the motivations that were going on with him. I think he's an interesting character. As far as a senator goes, I think that he liked to be close to power. And really the only ideological consistent position that I see is that he was a war hawk. He seemed to really believe that. I am not, so I don't like how he voted on that, but I'll give him a little bit of credit in that he seemed to be consistently applying his ideology to foreign policy. But in everything else, though, I think he was kind of feckless. And so I think the legacy that he leaves is not a particularly good one. I think he was willing to compromise with groups of people he knew were bad for the country in order to stay in power, and ended up facilitating a bunch of things that he knew were wrong. All that being said, I have a couple of questions for you all. Justin, I want your analysis of Lindsey Graham in general. Jen, on your end, noting that you do not like Lindsey Graham, that there is no ambiguity here, you don't like Lindsey Graham, and that you hated his track record and that he was a villain. Noting all of these things, very few people believe that they're the bad guy. Very few people believe they're a villain. Lindsey Graham almost certainly believed he was a good guy. What do you think Lindsey Graham thought he was doing? Like if we were to get into his mind and make, which we do not agree with, but if we were going to make a good faith argument on his behalf, what do you think it would look like?
Let me go first because it actually piggybacks on what you just said. And I'm glad that you mentioned that he used to be bipartisan because in my research, there was this extreme pivot there. So it's like, I'll go back to immigration. For a while, he was someone who was writing bills to help the Dreamers, who were kids who came here not of their free will. They grew up in the United States. He was trying with Democrats, or some Democrats anyway, to write a bill to allow them to stay here, to give them a path to stay here legally. And then he just flipped in the 116th Congress, 116th, 17th, 18th, and now 19th. He just became aggressively anti-child to the point of trying to keep innocent children in prison indefinitely. So when I look at his motivation, why he did these things, I do think he firmly believed that might makes right. I think he believed that using our U.S. military was a way to exert our power around the world. But I think you really nailed it, that he didn't really beyond that believe in much aside from exerting power in a way that's politically expedient for this moment. Because after the January 6th stuff happened, he very publicly came out and said, that's enough. He actually said in 2016, if we elect Donald Trump, Justin, do you remember the quote? It was something like, if we elect Donald Trump, our party will be destroyed and we'll deserve it. It was something like that.
It's
that
almost
sounds about
verbatim,
right.
Yeah.
And yet now he's being described as like Trump's best friend. So this is
Trump described him as part of the family in some
part
of
of
the
the
interviews
family.
he did after his death.
Yeah. But Lindsey Graham clearly knew that him trying to stay president in 2020 was a bright red line that was crossed. And yet when it became clear that this guy was going to be powerful, he just kissed his ass time and time again. So I just don't think that there was a motivation to help the country or like some driving motivation to keep this power. I think he liked being powerful for power's sake. I think he liked being a famous character. I know he loved when he got to ask questions in a really obnoxious way in hearings. He loved being in the spotlight. So I think it was a lot of ego. I think he liked power. And I know that people liked him.
There's literally no, like even in his mind, there's no good faith argument.
I don't know how people justify what they do. So I don't know how to get into Lindsey Graham's mind. I've watched him for a very long time, obviously. And I do think that like when you're around these people, around anyone, you can I'm sure we have people in our lives that are doing jobs that are making the world a worse place, but we like them as people. I'm sure that if I had a meal with Lindsey Graham, he seemed funny. Hunter Biden said very nice things about him. Like you can like a person, like being around a person and find them enjoyable to be around, but still look at their record and be like, this is someone who devoted their life to doing something that hurt our country. And when I look at his motivation, I think a lot of it was self-aggrandizement. Like that's the only way I can look at it because of these inconsistencies in his record. How can you care about immigrant children in the 2010s, trying to let them stay here and then try to get them locked up for as long as DHS considers necessary just 10 years later? Like there's just no consistency there. So I don't know how to analyze this and be like, oh, this is the good he was trying to do, because those flip-flops are enormous.
Well, I'm not saying like let's find the silver lining. I'm just anytime I'm looking at somebody that I disagree with, or I'm looking at a position that I disagree with, I do want to know what the stated good faith argument is, even if I don't agree with it, right? So like that's all I'm trying to figure out. I'm not saying you have to come up with that any of us have to come up with a silver lining on this is why he was actually a great guy, we should like him. I'm just, in his mind, what did he think he was doing is the thing that I find interesting. I mean, I can take a swing at it. I think I can do that.
Sure.
All politicians, every single one of them, or let's say 99% of them, 99% of politicians think like this. I don't like what my leader is doing or what my party is doing, but isn't it better for me to compromise a little bit and be the adult in the room and get reelected rather than I leave and a real crazy person comes in? Isn't it better for me to be present as a moderating force on the weirdos than for me to leave and only have a circus come in? That's how most people think. He probably thought like that. He probably thought he was probably very much a Bill Kristol neocon type character, which means, this is not my opinion, but putting that hat on, absent strong, robust American power across the planet, chaos like ISIS would be unleashed and more Hitler-type people would pop up. And so we have to be proactively seeking out and stopping these dictators in their bed, hence why we need to stop Iran and things like that. And therefore, Lindsey Graham, I really only care about foreign policy. Everything else is negotiable. Everything else is up for grabs. I am happy to represent the views of the people of South Carolina, regardless of my views when it comes to immigration. So if they start polling more in favor of immigration restriction, I will be happy to do that. The thing that I care about, the thing that I will not yield on, is foreign policy. And I want to be present in the room in order to steer the ship in a neocon direction. I think that would be something akin to what he would have thought.
I think that you are absolutely correct, which is why the first line of my obituary would be, Lindsey Graham is the final humiliation of the Never Trumpers. While everybody else decided to pack up their bags and go home, he stayed in the room, and in the intervening time, we're bragging in the New York Times that the CIA is withholding refinery parts for Russia as their economy continues to fail. And now drone swarms are hitting within Moscow, pushing that war in a decidedly different direction. Even while Trump is talking about giving less money, it seems like the pendulum has swung further in the direction of Ukraine, which he very much cared about. The Ayatollah is dead. Hezbollah has never been less potent. Hamas has never been less potent. The Houthis have never been less potent. We're in the middle of whatever is going on in Iran, and everybody can have their opinions, but it's not going great for the senior leadership of the IRGC that had been killed several months ago. And China's weak. These are the things that he cared about the most. And when a generation of politicians that he would otherwise agree with that were in that McCain flank left and made gigantic scenes about walking out the door or out and out are now essentially Democrats, including Bill Kristol that you mentioned, Heaton. He decided to stay in the picture, and he decided to shape things the way that he could shape things. I'm not here to defend everything that Lindsey Graham did, because I don't know if Lindsey Graham could defend everything that Lindsey Graham did. He came in as part of a Newt Gingrich revolutionary and then was one of the people that turned on Newt Gingrich. He was one of the triplets with John McCain and Joe Lieberman. And then as those two fell by the wayside and shuffled loose these mortal coils, he became somebody that was dead on with MAGA. Now, the immigration thing, I think, is a little bit more understandable when you look at from when he went from Lindsey Grahamnesty, which was what he was derisively referred to on the right because he was trying to work through some of that comprehensive immigration reform back in the day, to now you have tens of millions of broken asylum claims in the middle there, which I think can reasonably understand some sort of different reshaping of your immigration policy, even if you don't agree with the details on it. But the one thing that was his North Star was foreign policy. And I don't think that you can make the argument that he did anything other than push it toward his goals, despite the noise, despite the criticism. He has done what he wanted to do. And, whether or not you think that that is wise is a different story. But as a political animal, spoiler alert, this is what people talk about when they talk about politicians in the good old days. The good old days where they were able to stay in the picture and talk to each other and get stuff done. I don't necessarily blame him for being less bipartisan, because everybody's less bipartisan these days. Polarization has driven us so far apart from each other. It is only the most bare bones basic things that anybody can agree on. There are no grand bargainings that are happening these days because everybody will get crushed in their primaries if they look in any way to be capitulating on anything. And that is, even on this side with the Democrats, as little as agreeing to appropriations bills, as we've now seen two shutdowns, that one of which yielded the reconciliation bill that you were giving Graham shit for talking about in terms of funding for ICE. I mean, that was done because there was a shutdown that they sent a reconciliation bill on top of. Whether or not that was the right move, different story. All I would say is that if history is a prediction for the future, for anybody on the left side of the aisle who is snickering and laughing about Lindsey Graham dying, all I would say is look at what he did in terms of dealing with a party divided, and understand it's coming for you now. Because the left coalition is about to splinter, and you're going to have to decide how many people are going to go boo-hoo and sit at home, and how many people are going to be a part of the new way that it's going to go and start dealing with them. Because if you don't do it, you're going to lose power. And if you don't agree that there has to be some sort of synergy between these two emerging flanks, then you're just going to lose elections. So he is a product of his time, as I think all politicians who stay in the center square are. But the story that I find the most interesting is how and why he went through all of those different incarnations. And I don't think that it's all that puzzling. He was a senator, a lion of the Senate, the way that lions of the Senate always stay at the center of things. And unfortunately, he is, well, or fortunately, depending on how you see it, he is a dying breed. I don't know if there's anybody else right now that has the swagger and the operating capacity of Lindsey Graham.
I guess I just also should add coward to my description then. Because as someone who's been there for 30 years and could have led or fought back against the takeover of his party, he chose not to. Like, he chose his own political career at 71, which is like well past the Medicare retirement age. He chose to try to stay in power instead of, hey, there's some things here that are wrong, that go against, or like, you know, let's do this ICE money, but also do something for the dreamers, because once upon a time I believed in that. Like, he could have been a leader, and 30 years in the Congress, like, that is what we're always told. Like, this is why we vote for the geezers, is because they have all this experience that they bring to the table, and they can get things done. That's not what he did. He followed. And that's a shame. And I'm hoping that when you say that,
he led on the priorities that he had, which were foreign policy.
War.
I don't think that any of this happens in the same way unless he's there. Now, again, the immigration stuff, I think that the line between here and there from the early 2000s to 2026 is a complicated one, and there is a huge border crisis that shifts a lot of opinions on it, as well as opens up debate on how you solve something like that. But I don't know. I mean, I don't think that he would have seen that his life would have been better or his priorities would have been more fulfilled if he was like any number of different senators that took their ball and went home.
I just don't think that he's a leader. I think that he's a coward. Like,
That's fine.
When it comes to Donald Trump, he knows that this guy is doing things that are unconstitutional. Like, we are expecting Trump to give a speech on the day this episode airs, where he's going to once again try and claim that 2020 was rigged against him. And like, this is what the reporting is. We'll find out what he actually says when he gives the speech. But he's actively trying to fuck with the midterm elections. Lindsey Graham was against this in 2020, and now he's kind of supporting the Save America Act, which is a voter suppression bill, in 2026. Like, he's just a fucking coward, and I'm really glad he's gone. Like, the world is going to be a better place. I know, and I'm sorry, like, I might be a little too much here. I know Andrew might find it distasteful that I'm dancing on the grave of the dead, but this was a person that was actively hurting us. Like, we don't have Fourth Amendment protections anymore because of what he did, like, in the bills that he supported. Like, there are so many ways in which America is worse off because of this man. And so I don't really give a shit what his motivations were.
Jen, I believe that in my private sports book, Jen dancing on the grave of Lindsey Graham was a minus 500 favorite. So I don't think that you are shaking anything up by shitting on this corpse.
On my end, one of the many reasons that I don't like Donald Trump is the kind of decline of public decency and decorum. I'm not accusing you of this, Jen, but just personally, I don't want to publicly celebrate the death of anybody. Because it makes me, I don't like that part of me. I am pleased he's no longer in the Senate. I don't want to revel in his death. That's about where I'm at.
Well, can I be clear that, like, I'm not trying to celebrate his death. Had he retired and no longer had power, and that's how we got him out of power, and we were talking about his death, I would probably say, like, I didn't like his resume, but I wouldn't be as perfectly fine with it happening when it did, because I am glad he no longer has power. So it's not like the death of the man that I'm totally fine with, but I'm happy that Lindsey Graham, the vote, is no longer in the United States Senate. I do think there's a difference. Like, I do feel bad for his sister. I feel bad for his friends. Like, yeah. I'm not celebrating a man's death. I'm celebrating the lack of that man in the Senate.
Then we're on the same page then. I am not celebrating his death. I'm sorry for his family. I am pleased that from a legislative perspective, he's no longer in the Senate. I'm sure I probably would have liked some of the things he did more than you. I probably, like, my guess is we could find some economic stuff that you and I would disagree on. But broadly speaking, I think that that Lindsey Graham understood that MAGA was a threat, or excuse me, Donald Trump and what that populism represented was a threat to the constitutional order. He called it out, and he went, but I'm willing to ally with that in order to achieve foreign policy objectives. I guess the way to try to get into I'm trying to get into the guy's head. I guess the way to get into this would be more like right now, if if Donald Trump had been if his whole thing had been we're gonna quit giving Israel funding and we're gonna do Medicare for all, like if that had been everything, like to what extent would you be willing to ally with him? Or you can flip it on me. I don't know what that would be like. We're like there's gonna be some national zoning reform bill. I don't know. I guess that's kind of the monkey's paw thing that he did, Justin, is like, I know that this guy is bad for
this is
constitutional
not, I don't know
order,
why this is curious. It's like he looked at all these coworkers of his that, took exactly the stand that you guys were asking him to take. And now they're out of power. And so they
Bob
sit at
Corker,
their
Mitch Daniels.
Yeah, they sit at their dinner table and pout and do interviews about how wasn't it awesome the one time I quit. And he didn't do that. He was able to affect the things that he wanted to affect. He was able to not affect the things that he wasn't able to. He really, really disagreed with Blake Masters when Blake Masters was running for Senate, right? And there was a video that was circulating after he died of him at a donors retreat where he's trying to raise money for Blake Masters. And they had absolutely divergent opinions on foreign policy. And one of the donors asks him, why are you here raising money if you guys don't agree at all on foreign policy? And he said, Blake's wrong on Ukraine. Who gives a shit? I'm here to make sure that Republicans have the majority. I keep my seniority on these panels that I care about. I hope to convince him. I hope to bring him along on the things that I think that he's wrong about. But in the meantime, this is a team sport. I raise money for Republicans. I help Republicans win. And that's what matters. And guess what? In a world where we weren't so poisoned by our own partisanship, and this is just a different level, maybe we're purified by our own partisanship, we can look at this differently, where we believe our opinions need to be the only opinions that matter. This used to be coalitional politics. This was the way that politics operated our entire childhood. When we look back with rose-colored glasses and we say, oh boy, wasn't it better when Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan used to be able to have a beer and talk to each other. This is what they acted like. This is what they were. He did not change. The world changed around him. Now, whether or not you believe that his priorities were great, he wasn't the first person to survive to get to a president that he didn't particularly like, but maybe found easier to deal with. That has happened throughout American history for fucking democracy. Like this happened in ancient Greece. So
wait, Justin. So wait, the cross coalition thing, rather than being cross partisan, it's like the coalition within the Republican Party. Like he's part of the old neocon group. There's the MAGA group. That's the Tip O'Neill Reagan thing. I'm not going to give points for anybody that wants to go, hey, the good of the party trumps ideology. Like I get that there's a practical necessity for that, but like I don't think promote the party at all costs is a valuable thing.
And that's the world we live in now. We live in the take our ball and go home world.
Because of people like Lindsey Graham, it didn't have to be this way. But you have enough capitulation, it becomes the norm, and we end up with a fucking dumpster fire of a Congress like we have now. Norms change when people change their behavior. So if we're saying that like Lindsey Graham's just doing what politicians do and it's okie dokie, that's how we're going to keep this shit show going forever.
No, I'm saying he's doing what old politicians did, and they are all being run out or dying, and that's fine because that's what America wants. That's what democracy is. We want people that will sit out and shut down the government. And we clearly want more of that because now both parties are doing it. Both parties are running to their extremes. None of them want to deal with each other. Everybody is safe pointing fingers to the thing that the other side did. That's where we are. That's where we are going. And he appeared more. I mean, look, I think his moral flexibility is not in question, as well as some of his other flexibilities, if we are going to indulge the rumors. But his ability to create a coalition within his own government that moves things, or within his own party that moves things forward, that was an operating system that is now outdated. He is just, he was a part of that world.
Something that I do notice is somebody that's very much in favor of bipartisan, cross-party, all that kind of stuff. There is a tendency for people to go, we really like it when the other team's bipartisan. Like with Canada and the other team's bipartisan, we really like it. But when our people are bipartisan, they're selling out and they're capitulating.
As someone who's not a part of either of these parties, I just want them to get policy priorities done. Like, if I looked at Lindsey Graham's record and until the day he died, he was trying to work with anyone who was willing, like he was in the past, to get the Dreamers a path to citizenship. Because no matter what the fuck you think about illegal immigration, I think we all can agree that if you were brought here as a baby, that's not your fault. And he was on that team for a long time. I don't give a shit about bipartisanship. I don't care if it was just the Republicans that passed that, if it was just the Democrats, or if they did it in tandem. And I think what I'm sick of when I look at politics is that we're constantly talking about Democrats and Republicans and the politics in between them and all that shit. I'm tired of it. Let the Dreamers stay. And he used to believe in that. And then he stopped because of political expediency. And it's that type of shit that at least the American people that I speak for, that's what I'm tired of. Even this conversation about bipartisanship, I don't care who votes for it as long as I get the health care, as long as the Dreamers get to stay.
As long as these liberal priorities are enacted, I don't care how it happens.
Lindsey Graham is not a liberal, and yet this was one of his priorities until it wasn't. So it's like there are things that we can agree on, no matter what.
I mean, the nation's opinion on immigration changed in between.
On the Dreamers, dude, I don't think so. These are not the people that were flooding over the southern border. They're not all trans. Like, I think the Dreamers, there was a compromise to be had there, and so did Lindsey Graham.
There was
until
in
MAGA
Trump's
took
first
over.
term. Build the wall for the Dreamers, and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer said no.
I wonder, I'm beginning to see parallels between Lindsey Graham and Richard Nixon. Like Richard Nixon cared about foreign policy. That was his thing.
Yes.
Like we should invade Cambodia. What? You want price controls on gasoline? That's fine. I don't fucking care. Go back to Cambodia. Like, he wasn't really concerned with domestic stuff. He was really focused on foreign policy stuff. Was also a feckless scumbag. So I'm thinking maybe like Lindsey Graham is the Richard Nixon of the Senate.
You know he's coming back. People are really excited about Richard Nixon because his library has a really good social media game.
You know what? I subscribe to it's not his library. It's the Richard Nixon
Foundation.
There's like a think tank, the Nixon think tank. I think they rebranded because they finally figured out like the year 2012 that Nixon was kind of toxic. So they like rechanged it to, I don't know, like American.
No. His library does like these TikTok. There's like a Zoomer cohort that loves Nixon because they just make these like very hip, cool videos.
They
Nixon's
love George
great
W. Bush
as an ex-president weighing
Yep.
in on shit. He's fun for that capacity. But,
I'm just telling you, and I'll keep saying this, prepare yourself for the post-presidency popularity of Donald Trump. Prepare yourself.
Well, I mean, obviously it happened. The motherfucker tried to stay president, and then we voted for him again 4 years later. I mean, we have the memories of fruit flies in this country. It's amazing.
And he's funny. He's going to play well in short clips because he's funny.
He's not funny. Right now, I can't find him funny. I find him obnoxious and bloodthirsty and horrible, and I can't.
I know. I wish I could just play like a 30-second sounder that whenever I want to make a point, I could just do a bunch of throat clearing, and I could just. It would be like a Jamaican air horn of like I don't subscribe to Trump's personal life or political priorities. I just
this
I would
is
just
what
like to
gets me
play
in
that
trouble, by
whenever
the
I
way.
try to make any kind of fucking point about our modern era.
Yeah, when I do other media hits, a lot of the time as a comedian, they'll be like, "No, Heaton, Donald Trump's not funny, right?" And I'm like, ugh, like, yes, that whole thing where I'm like, I think that he's damaging to our country. I think that he's like a literal clinical narcissist. I think that he doesn't care about the Constitution in part because he said so. He has very good comedic timing. Like, he's a complete scumbag. He has good timing.
Yeah, he's not going to be the first person that is unpopular that's funny. I mean, like, all comedians are not.
They're
great
orthogonal.
people.
You can be offensive and funny. You could be a rapist and be funny. They don't militate against each other.
He's accomplished that.
Patreon.com/We're Not Wrong, where you need to go if you want to get a bonus episode of this show. Are cigs back? Light them up. Smoke them if you got them, because the kids have dropped the pretense. No more vapes. Nope. The Marlboro man and women born again in our nation's youth. Good, bad, indifferent, or maybe just media hype. We discuss on our Patreon exclusive. Meta is pushing camera-equipped AI smart glasses beyond Ray-Ban, bringing hands-free photos, video calls, and visual AI into public spaces. The Wall Street Journal reports that privacy advocates are alarmed by the scale and direction of the rollout, particularly the prospect of facial recognition tools. More than 70 consumer privacy and civil rights groups have urged Meta to halt plans for a quote-unquote name tag feature that could identify strangers within the field of view of your glasses. Critics say a small recording light does not provide meaningful consent and warns that the glasses could enable stalking, harassment, or surveillance. Supporters, however, see useful accessibility and convenience. Opponents ask whether society can normalize always available audio and video recording. Mr. Andrew Heaton, is it wrong to wear these glasses?
No. I would say if you're disabling the little light feature so that you can record people without them knowing, that's wrong. In the same way that if you want to like leave your webcam on while you're having sex with somebody to record them, that's wrong. There are ways to misuse this technology which are damaging to other people's privacy. Those ways that you would use them are potentially wrong. But the technology itself, though, I think is just technology. And with the rancor that is coming in the response of this technology, like whether you like it or not, I think the genie's out of the bottle. I don't think we're going to be moving backwards on this one. I think that it's going to accelerate, and there's going to be pros and cons to it. The pro to it is like one very tiny one. For people that have the beginnings of dementia, this is going to be an absolute godsend, where you could put on a pair of glasses and have a name that's associated with the person, how you know them, that kind of thing. But even beyond that, like I think it would be useful to people in general. When I was a waiter, this would have been helpful. If somebody comes into the restaurant, I remember everybody's name, and then I have like underneath it in my little display glasses, they like pasta, they don't like shrimp, things like that. I think this is likely to become a very normal part of life moving forward, where we've got glasses and we've got a meta layer that's on top of everything that you see through those glasses. And it'll probably be pretty similar to what happened with Google Maps. Like you guys remember when Google Maps came out and there were like think pieces about how we're losing our geolocational memory? That's true. That absolutely happened. We lost it. I could barely get to anywhere outside of Oklahoma at this point. By memory alone. Like when I was in Austin, I don't think I even remember the name of the highway that I lived by. Mopac, maybe? Was it Mopac? I think it was Mopac. But like, I had to guess, right?
It was not Mopac, for the record.
Was it not Mopac that I lived by?
No.
Yeah, didn't know. Didn't need to know. I always had a smartphone in my car, right? And I'm totally fine with that. I think that having a meta layer like that for social interactions will probably be very similar, where we will actually have a lot of supercharged stuff that I think could be good in many ways. Like I like it when I go into Uber and there's a little thing that says like, do you want to talk or not talk? And I'll adjust that to my mood accordingly. I could see there being a meta thing where it's like, it enjoys interacting with strangers, does not enjoy interacting with strangers, or like Star Trek, stuff like that. I think there's all sorts of fun stuff that could happen to it. The downsides also exist. It's not going to be a complete alley-oop for the positive sides of this. And the big ones with it are, as this or if this becomes a ubiquitous technology, no one is ever anonymous again, ever. There's no more anonymity. I think that we already kind of crossed that bridge, though. Like, I don't think that the technology that they're putting forth with the Meta glasses fundamentally changes anything. It just makes it a little bit more accessible, easier to use, and more common. But like, when I was a kid, if you went to a restaurant and somebody was an asshole, that wasn't getting recorded. Like you could be an asshole at a restaurant and it wasn't going to ruin your life. Now, if you have a really bad day and you cause a scene at a grocery store, somebody's going to pull out their smartphone and record you, and you're going to be on the internet. And that's for everybody, not just celebrities. We all kind of have this constant publicly sourced paparazzi phenomenon going on. But that's been going on for 20 years now. It's been going on since smartphones came out. So I don't think that anything is massively changing. The only thing where I do see a change is if everybody starts having Meta glasses and it just becomes a common feature where anybody can tap their glasses and immediately start recording. There is a kind of mosaic theory of privacy that might come into effect where the sheer volume of cameras alters the substance of the action, where it's like it's one thing if you just have one or two people with phones, but if everybody has them, there could be some chilling effects from all this. Could be that people are more self-censored moving forward. I think there could be a weird thing where if Meta glasses became very common, that you'd start seeing burqas become common in people that aren't Muslim, of just like, I don't want to subscribe to this. I'm going to have all of my features blotted out.
There are some folks that might be very excited about that.
Yeah. So I don't know. Long story short, Justin, I think you can misuse technology for immoral purposes at any given time. I don't think that the technology itself is inherently bad or inherently immoral. I do think it's kind of inevitable. And so the question is really not, are we going to embrace this? It's going to happen. I think the question is, how do we deal with it? And what are the etiquettes and norms that we erect in light of that? Like, we don't bring glasses into restaurants, stuff like that.
Jen?
So the original question was, is it wrong to wear the glasses as like a user? And I was actually had to contemplate this before we discussed it, because before I left Austin, a friend of mine who we'll call Dustin came to visit me at volleyball with his wife that we'll call Ashlyn and daughter Isabella. And he was wearing glasses, and it was hot, and they were sunglasses. I didn't think anything of it. And only because he mentioned looking at the baby and then recording did I realize that there were recording features in these glasses. I had never heard it before. I had no idea. I did not know he was recording. And at the time, I looked like a swamp creature. And so it did kind of like cross my mind, like, oh fuck, I'm being recorded right now. But like, it didn't bother me. I didn't think he was a bad person.
I was recording you and my child, so I could send you pictures of you and my child.
Yeah. So when I think about the actual interaction that I've had with these, did I for 1 second be like, it is wrong to wear these glasses? Yeah, I did not. And in fact, I was riding my bike here. One of the best things about my time in Barcelona is that we found a gym that's inside an old train station. And the ride to get through it is the coolest ride. Like, I go along the beach and then I can see the Sagrada Familia. Like, it's so cool. And all these dope buildings on the way there. And so I was thinking, if I had your glasses, I could record my ride without, crashing and killing myself. And that would be a really cool thing to put on Instagram. But like, I don't have them, whatever. However, when I think about this now, knowing more about the glasses, I think when we talk about the technology and when we talk about the fact that they are meta glasses, those are two different conversations. And meta is more of my concern here than the glasses, because it's meta that is deciding those ground rules without our consent. And even just recently, they've been doing things that we've had a lot of reasons to not trust Meta, but just in the past few months, like, we know that they've been cutting their safety teams and replacing them with AI. There was a report that they had this new AI tool that was somehow making it possible to use the AI to steal other people's accounts. The big one lately that was going all over social media is that they were going to let anyone make AI videos using our public profiles. So, I mean, you guys know how I feel about
that is true. I mean, that is a real thing.
Yeah.
Now, what I think that betrays is that long ago they already trained their AI on all of your publicly available data. They have a slippery ethical record, let me say, before, during, and after artificial intelligence. Yes,
exactly. So when I look at Meta now putting these technologies out, like the glasses that Dustin was wearing.
No, I have the glasses. We can say that. That's true.
Yeah. So there was a little light on them that I never fucking would have noticed and never would have known what it was. So I don't think that's ubiquitous out in the culture, that we just know that we're being recorded when there's this teeny tiny light on, especially when it's sunny out. There was no way I was going to see it. So like, people aren't aware that they're being recorded in a way that we are aware when someone's holding up their phone or holding up a camera. Like, there's a visual signal to the other people that they are on camera. And my
not always with a phone.
No, but for the most
because you
part,
could be holding and like pretending to scroll while you're.
You could definitely record audio without anybody knowing.
Yeah. You can, but when it comes to the glasses, it's something that's just on someone's face, and like, it's a very Black Mirror nightmare scenario for me to think that every pair of sunglasses is now a surveillance device
vector.
that particularly puts people into Meta's database involuntarily. Because it is one thing for me to have never read Meta's terms of service, use Instagram every day, and get what I fucking deserve. But I also know quite a few people in my personal life that have no social media presence whatsoever. They have opted out, and this forces them to opt in. So I just feel like I don't think that we have crossed the bridge yet of being constantly surveilled and there's nothing we can do about it. And I certainly don't think that we have established the ground rules as a society for how this is going to work. And when it comes to those ground rules, I would rather have all of us as a society make them as opposed to leaving it up to fucking Mark Zuckerberg, who started this business because he kind of hates us all. So it's the meta of it all that I think bothers me. But I don't think that you're icky if you're doing it. I just think as a society, we have to really think this through before we allow it to move forward.
Number one, these glasses have existed before Meta, but they certainly have been at the forefront of pushing these versions, the Ray-Bans and the new ones that are coming out. They paid a lot of money for Kylie Jenner to be their spokeswoman. So these are getting normalized on a level that everybody just needs to get used to. The genie is out of the bottle. There's nothing else that we can do. That being said, Meta has a tremendously awful record on privacy and users, respect, self-respect. Meta has defined itself on a kind of, in my opinion, bottom of the barrel mistreatment of a free audience because they are addicted to the dopamine hit that comes along with Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram primarily. They know that you rely on this for your daily entertainment. They can sell advertising against it, but beyond even like what Google does to maximize your ability to see varying different advertisements, either on the Google homepage or on websites through their proxies or on YouTube, Facebook, now Meta, has gone above and beyond of like getting little content creators like me into these roach motels on Facebook years and years and years ago, and then saying, oh, nice audience you built here. Be ashamed if somebody made you pay every time that you wanted to reach them, which they did. They've continually made building a business on Instagram a horrible priority. So I don't trust them as far as I can throw them. I don't care if Zuckerberg has a broccoli haircut and does jujitsu now. He's the same dude who made all the decisions that he made before. I don't really trust him. With the Ray-Bans that I have, I've said before, I really appreciate them for pictures of Bella, my little girl, because kids act different when you pull out a phone. When you pull out a phone, they're going to behave different. So you can get behaviors and cute moments in a way that you wouldn't be able to do any other way with these glasses. That being said, I wish they didn't have a camera. Like, I really use them mostly as earbuds without putting things in my ear. They're great for that. But I would love having just glasses that were audio only. I would also love for them to have a better assistant, a better AI assistant. They have their Meta assistant on there, but it's fucking useless as male nipples. There's no point in interacting with it at all. And I think using it in general just drains the battery a lot faster. So what I would love is for there to be a better assistant that you could use on a device and just have them for audio stuff, because I don't think the camera makes enough people uncomfortable that I don't want to wear them in a way that kind of, fucks with the vibe or fucks with the mood on with people. And I don't really use it all that much. If I'm not around my daughter and I can just have them when I bring her out or I'm around her, I can put on those glasses and take pictures with it. If my daily drivers just had sound and audio that I could talk to, that it was actually useful, that I could talk about my day and my calendar and book things or have stuff reach me, my God, it'd be so much better. So it is frustrating that Meta is the one leading this. It is frustrating that they're the tip of the spear when it comes to talking about the privacy elements here, because their record is horrendous. But it is what it is, and all this is here. By the way, the technology to get recognize people and have their names there, that's available to you on your cell phone right now if you want. You can take a picture of a bartender and have their name, their publicly available credit score, like all that can just pop up right there on the phone. The only thing that is different is that this would be on your head and you wouldn't have to surreptitiously take a picture of them. Decades of social media use have had us put so much data online. For us, it's a little bit different because we're making our living publicly. So the stuff that people know about us is the stuff that we've made our careers on. But every one of you, unless you have been Amish about social media, you have a footprint. And even if you have, there's probably a little placeholder that's pretty good at guessing a lot of the stuff that you believe in based only on the connections that are all leading to one hole that has not uploaded an account. Like those exist too. So this is here. It's downstream of our addiction to social media because all we did was want it to be free. In fact, this is one of the funniest things that's happened over the last 20 years is that in early Facebook, there was this meme that would go around once every few months that would be like, they're about to charge for Facebook. Share this and leave a comment if you'll never pay for Facebook. And everyone would be like, yeah, fuck that. Just show me ads. I'm not paying for shit. Fuck you. Now, ChatGPT was adding ads. They're like, for the love of God, don't add ads. I'll pay you
another
$20.
Don't give me ads. I don't want ads, please.
Because we are upset about ads now. We're upset about spy tech that makes us better advertising units and that's because of what happened over the last 20 years.
So I actually have these glasses as well, and I got mine also from a conversation in Austin, Texas. I was hanging out with a couple of friends. We'll call them Blaren and Giva. And Blaren and Giva had just gotten back from San Diego in California. And Blaren was showing me these cool glasses he and his fiance both had, and he made a great pitch for it. One, Justin, I'm with you 100%. I like the audio on them way better. They were great for me when I was in DC, and I'd take a morning constitutional with Wallace, and I could play podcasts and things, and not have that feeling of being underwater. If anybody talked to me, I could interact with them. If there was a car or something, I could hear it. It just felt more pleasant. Also, I had my hands free. I didn't have to put things. I liked it because a lot of the time I would do phone calls, call Jennings or whatever, and be able to do it. So I liked all of that. The only videos I have are just Wallace playing in snow because it was hand-free and it was great for that capacity. But one of the things that Blaren said that I liked about it was that people react more casually with the glasses on than they do a phone, which makes total sense to me. I wish I had more media of my friends doing fun stuff. I don't tend to take a lot of photos. I don't tend to take a lot of videos, and I kind of wish I did. That's part of the reason that I got it was I'd like to have more memories that I can look back on in digital form, and would love for the people that I like to be in them. I think that the problem here is the surreptitious nature of it, the taking video of people without them knowing. And we probably do need some laws that update how we're going to deal with this. I'd say the main one, Jen, you touched on, which is what is the nature of your data for training purposes? That's a broader conversation we need to have about LLMs of like, I've written multiple books. If Anthropic buys one of my books, are they allowed to use it for training data? Like, is there a difference between an individual consumer versus using it for creating art? I think that's a good conversation to have. I think probably a lot of existing laws could be modified for what we have, though. Like when you get into audio recordings, states have different rules in terms of whether or not you have to disclose whether you're being recorded. So I don't remember which states are which, but like theoretically, let's say in Oklahoma, you do not have to record. You don't have to tell somebody I'm recording you. So if I call you over the phone and I record it, that's game. Again, I'm being random here. I don't know the states, right? Whereas in Virginia, I might have to tell you. Like if I'm recording you going, hey, by the way, I'm recording this call. It's part of why every single phone conversation you ever have with a corporation begins with, for training purposes, this conversation may be recorded. They want to cover their bases, right? So we already kind of have laws on the books for that sort of thing. And I think having it for video purposes, we might have to do something like that. I do think
let me just tell you, when it comes to training LLMs, that horse is so far out of the barn, it circled the globe. It ran on oceans. It circled the globe, and it ran past the barn a second time. Like everything that you would imagine has been scraped off the internet. and it's just a wrap. Like, in fact, we're now to the point of training LLMs where synthetic data is the thing that they are best training on. It's not the actual stuff online.
I'll add, though, Justin, I don't want to remove the camera and get better AI. I want better meta technology within the lenses. I think there's going to be cool shit around the corner there.
A heads-up display.
I want Google glasses that work and are nice. Like, it would be great if when I'm walking through New York City, I had the map overlaid on my glasses to let me know when I turned left.
Which, by the way, that is one of the greatest lies in the history of tech, was go back and watch the original demo for Google Glass. Like the first demo for Google Glass, because it's exactly what you're talking about. It's like, oh, I'm able to search for things, and then I get Google Maps directions, and it's telling me like forward, right. No one has done it at all since then. It was a lie then with a crap product that eventually went
that's fine. But I'm saying what I want is the real one, right? And I think it'd be great.
You want to actually fulfill that promise.
Yeah, when I travel, it would be I would love it when I'm walking through some beautiful European city like Barcelona, if I had those glasses on and it would point out interesting historical things to me. Of like click over here and you like look over there and you're like, oh wow, this battle happened. This is the site of so and so. I think that would be really cool. So like I would like more stuff like that to happen.
I think it's going to change the nature of how we hang out. Like, I'm kind of stuck on what you said a minute ago about, a mutual friend of ours who was wearing the glasses and liked that he was capturing casual moments. I feel like it's going to eliminate a lot of those moments. Like, I'm thinking of like this exact person is a person that I love, and I love hanging out with him. And he is someone that if I had a fucked up thought in my head that I would like to go up to and just like kind of whisper it to him, It's like when you get to be good friends with someone, you do those things. If he's wearing those glasses, I'm not going to do it. Like that moment's just not going to happen. And so I feel like, and I'm also wondering if that, because
people said the same thing about cell phones and about smartphones.
No, but it's not recording you to be played later or in ways that you don't want, or like,
no, that was the fear. The fear is that if you're putting a video camera that can be surreptitiously used and a microphone that can be surreptitiously used in everybody's pocket, that it's going to fundamentally change discourse. And while those fears are real, it didn't.
But in your pocket is different than on your face and always on. Like,
well, it's not always on.
Like but it might be. Like, I don't want to have to check his face for the little white light or to check all of the fucking glasses in the room to make sure that I can tell the joke. What I'm going to do to protect my own ass from having something sent to the wrong person or like, I don't know, I'm just going to not tell the joke. The experience of hanging out with me is going to be different. And so
I don't want to live in a world where Jen can't tell her very, very, very racist
listeners,
jokes.
What we do when Jen and I regularly hang out,
hilarious, man.
She's always really worried that I'm going to be recording her, so she makes me say the N-word out loud before we say any jokes to prove that I'm not recording her. It always makes me very uncomfortable. Jen, I think that you actually have a really good point. I think that there probably will be a chilling effect. In the same way that I think that there's been a chilling effect with both social media and cameras and phones in general. Like I think, it's a mixed bag, right? On the one hand, I don't like that if I have a shitty day and I just like blow up at a Starbucks, that my life can be over. That's not a good feeling. And I think to some extent, we all have that at the back of our mind, that if we fuck up in a public, if we fuck up at the grocery store and we yell at the cash register person, that's going to go on the internet and we're going to be that guy. That's not a good feeling. I don't like that. On the other hand, kind of glad people aren't screaming at people at Starbucks and cash registers as much. Like there is a certain level of better behavior that I suspect probably happens now by virtue of the fact that we live in Panopticon. And I think that there probably will be a chilling effect with ubiquitous glasses if they come to pass. But I think we can go against that pretty easy. Like right now, we could record you a lot easier without you knowing, Jen, on a smartphone than with those glasses. Like I take the glasses off, you're fine. I'm not recording you. I could have the smartphone going on in my purse in this theoretical scenario where I have a purse, right? So like when I hang out with Blaren, I talk to him about some like deep stuff on my end that I don't want to be public. And like, if he had the glasses on, I'd just be like, hey, Blaren, could you take the glasses off? I want to talk to you about something. So I think we could while there will be a chilling effect, I think we can also come up with ways to work around them.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily that it's my friends wearing the glasses. It's also the people I don't know. Like, I don't want to have to be, it sounds exhausting to have to be on your best behavior at all times and having to question whether a sunglass is just protecting your eyes or is a recording device. Right now, I know your phone is a recording device. I'm aware that it could record the audio from inside of a purse, but like, that's pretty rare. Like, that's someone like maliciously trying to record me. It's not even malicious to just have your camera running on your face at a party. And I don't want to have to be worried about being like having no casual off-camera moments. That sounds like a horrible world. Like, it sounds like the type of thing that if I was going to have a bunch of people over to my house, I would collect keys for the drinkers and the fucking glasses because I don't want you ruining my party by making everyone feel like everything could be put online. That sounds awful.
I got an idea. I think that there might actually be a market opportunity for like camera stoppers on those Meta glasses. So like, Justin, you don't want the cameras to be there, right? Like you just want it for your daughter.
I don't need it. I mean, the next glasses that I got, I would prefer to be.
Yeah, like there might be a thing where, in the same way that you can get like laptop camera blockers to make sure that your privacy is protected. I wonder if it wouldn't make sense for there to be like little opaque doodads you put over the camera that are like some particular, they're gray or something.
No,
that way people know,
at
like, hey,
party,
like I can't record you. Don't worry. The
Jen
safety
could just
is
hand
on.
out little stickers that would just go over the lens like a laptop camera like people have.
Yeah.
Or just buy Gooders, you fucking nerds.
What are Gooders?
Oh, God. They are $25 great sunglasses that do not have any technology in them whatsoever.
Oh no, I've got $20 sunglasses, but I do really like the audio portion. Like Justin's right about that. They sound better. They're nicer. Like, I don't like walking around with these earphones nearly as much. Plus, I can just put them on. They work. Like, I like being able to listen to podcasts. I like being able to talk to people wearing them. It just feels more natural to me.
See, this is where our genders are definitely different because you've probably never considered that like half the time I'm wearing my earpods out in the world, there's nothing in them. I just want to be able to like ignore a random guy who wants to talk to me for any reason or like
and I am that guy, so I don't need the earpods.
Yeah, I like having them in. I want them visual, so I wouldn't want the glasses for that anyway because I actually still wear the wired ones. Like, I'm wearing them right now on this recording, but when I'm out and about, like when I'm walking by myself, I still have these in, so it's super obvious, like, don't talk to me.
Yeah. We're Not Wrong Pod at gmail.com, where you need to go if you want to email the show. We talked about Graham Plattner, who last week was on the brink of dropping out. Spoiler alert for last week, if you haven't seen it. He did drop out on Friday. Line in the Sand writes, progressives, as a progressive, saying, I can excuse National Socialism, plus like a billion red flags that this guy is a sexual predator, but I draw the line at rape. End quote. Well, I guess I'm supposed to give you kudos that you were right about one of those three. I remember the first time I got called a Nazi, it was commenting on a Salon.com article about the budget. Remember those guys? All I said was something to the effect that if expenditures continue to outpace revenue, at some point Social Security will go insolvent. But I didn't think much of it because I understood that social media is not a real place. Then came the chaos of 2016. We both hated Trump, me because he wanted to tear up TTP, you because he made fun of a reporter. Then all of a sudden, everything was Nazi this and fascist that, and the resistance. Seriously? Stolen valor much? But hey, after Zyklon B, what's a little gaslighting?
I don't even know what Zyklon B is.
It was the chemical compound used to kill the Jews at Auschwitz and Birkenau.
Jen, if you end up finding out you've got a tattoo of Zyklon B, I recommend you get rid of that tattoo as quick as you can, okay?
I just thought it looked like a cool chemical compound.
Yeah, just looked like a cool chemical. I liked the periodic elements back when I was in high school.
Yeah, we don't really need to go into this one. We need upstanding politicians like Ted Kennedy writes, I became politically aware in 2016. I've only ever known politicians to be dumb, self-serving, corrupt, morally debased assholes. Was anyone really surprised that Graham ended up being a bad guy? Is anyone surprised that Congress will keep a vegetable in office to maintain a majority? Are we surprised Farage did some sketchy campaign financing? I'm annoyed and abhorred, yeah, but it's hardly news at this point. To my experience, this is the thing that happens when government happens. Was there ever really a time before this? No.
I honestly don't know.
No. Spoiler alert. They're probably worse. We
probably have the most well-behaved, like maybe not the most well-behaved people. Let's say the sexual scandals are far more boring now. than they were like before the internet. Yeah. So I think elected office is always going to attract different sorts of personalities at a higher rate than the rest of the job sector. So you're going to get people that want to be popular. I would fall into that category. People that want to be powerful, which is definitely going to drag in some sociopaths. People that want to be activists, which is great if you agree with them, but is infuriating if you don't agree with them. And then just a lot of crazy people and losers. One of the weird elements to this is there's an argument to be made that we should just pay them better. Because like right now, if you're really smart and you could make a bunch of money, like why run for office unless you're an activist that has like a burning desire to do something, in which case, again, maybe you agree with them, maybe you don't. I think there's a decent argument to be made that, being mayor of a city is something that you like if you were CEO of a comparably large organization, you'd be getting paid $1 billion. We're going to pay you like $120,000. Yeah. Well, like the bench is going to be losers, cranks, and activists and narcissists and a lot of other things. So I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, we didn't mention this in the Lindsey Graham thing, but if there's one thing that I think we could all agree was a good side of Lindsey Graham is he got into Congress with about $1 million to his name. He died last weekend with about $1.6 million to his name. For a guy that pushed for as much foreign war as he possibly could, he does not appear, at least by any known available metrics, to have cashed in at the level that many people who have spoken out less than he has about foreign intervention did. He appears to have done it for the love of the game and not necessarily to ring the cash box.
Yeah, he liked the power. I was recently in Congress hanging out and was told by someone who works there that in the 119th Congress, the division, as he sees it, is about 10 people who were really great and, know the Constitution, there for the right reasons, like wonderful people. About 10 people that are true villains, and everyone else was, quote, unremarkable.
Yeah.
So
hanging on. They're there to be told who to vote for and what to vote for, and every once in a while they'll get spooked by a bunch of constituents calling, but other than that, they're just kind of sheep to be herded.
They are. That said, the one thing when I go to Washington that does give me a little bit of hope, because I usually leave there in tears, but usually I meet more staffers every time I go. And what I saw this time was staffers that disagree with each other politically, but were working in the same office and just trying to find ways to write bills that they together agreed were doing good. So they were trying to push their unremarkable bosses to do good things with the power that they had. There are people there, they tend to be young, idealistic, not broken by Washington yet. And there's a constant churn of them going into that building. And because so many of our members of Congress are unremarkable, lazy people, there are members of the staff that are getting things into law by just putting really uncontroversial things through that pass by unanimous consent or voice vote. You don't even hear about them. But like we've had 102 laws signed in this Congress. There is some good stuff in there. If you listen to Congressional Dish regularly, you'll hear it. Like there are some bills, they're rare, but they are getting through. And it's those staffers that are quietly doing the good work. And then there's the members of Congress that you don't hear their names because they are in there doing good things. They're just getting the work done. That does exist in that building. Unfortunately, what we hear about every day are the scandals and the monsters, but like there's 535 of them and a whole staff that works there. It's not all terrible. And I think it would be good for us to have more, the percentages change. I'd like to have like fewer unremarkable and villain category people and more great people. We can do that hopefully with our votes, but I do leave Congress sometimes feeling like we have a chance. Sometimes.
Good for you.
Hey, but in answer to your deep question, though, listener, no, there's no point in period in history where there's actually like a good cohort of wonderful people running the government. Like they're murdering Indians, they're sending Japanese people to internment camps. Like there's no golden period. We might be in it.
Well, also, even
we're
the
not
things that
in it.
even the things that you might think are good were done by horrendous people, just very, very bad people. You know, the outcomes of how things get done are almost entirely separate from the personalities that put them in. Bitch Be Humble writes, jury should contemplate being more magnanimous in victory and gracious in defeat. It's a better combo. I'm going to say fuck you for this reason. I think that I revel in my defeats. I think that's the point. If you're going to be an out loud take man who has a lot of opinions and gets out there and talks a lot, the only thing you really owe the audience is that when you are loud wrong, you own up to it and say you are loud wrong. If there's anything that I have skirted, then please let me know, because I do want to make that very, very clear. I will spike the football and do a chicken dance when I am right. And holy shit, are my arms tired from how often I have to do it. But I do also think that I wear my defeats. I want to wear my defeats. So if I have not done that, then let me know. I do think that I am more than gracious. I give you something that graciousness would never give you, which is the enjoyment of watching me squirm.
I get the ick doing this right now, but like I do agree with that analysis.
And finally, first time, long time. Plattner obviously listened to Prison Week on the Political Orphanage and decided that prison in Maine would be better than the U.S. Senate. They do have a lot more dogs in that prison in Maine than in the Capitol.
That must be it. That must be it. Thank you, listener.
Do we have any final thoughts on the now vacated legacy, the aborted legacy of Graham Plattner?
Congratulations,
Again, I'm just
Collins.
There were no indications. That's the thing that I keep coming back to, is how did this happen? How did we not see this coming?
Well, did you see? So after we recorded that episode, it was all over social media. These two fucking nerds, like these young Gen Z idiots, one of them who has the same voice inflection as Susan Collins, that put together this campaign.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
this is the crack shot one
toddlers.
that like met them and decided in 35 seconds that he's the second coming of Bernie.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess so. It was the girl that actually bugged me more, because when they asked, like, how did you vet him? And she laughed like the little girl was stoned out of her head and knocked up. She's just like, I was like, oh my God. Like, it answered my question of who were the incompetent people that didn't vet this guy. I was like, oh, it was these idiots. So if you haven't found them yet, look them up. They're
By the way,
shockingly
the
dumb.
guy of that couple, the scion of the Toys R Us fortune, Graham Plattner, was the grandson of one of the most famous architects in New York City. This is now the new progressive standard bearer, are like rich kids that want
to wear Che Guevara t-shirts. Yes.
Yeah, no,
cosplaying
it is
the
like
proletariat's a fun activity.
Yeah, it's the guy who's the son of the man who invented the napkin ring, who has $1 trillion fortune, who's going to pretend to be a garbage man. That's the new way to do it.
It's all so disappointing.
Yep.
On the missing middle, Viva writes, Vegas is great for exactly 2 days. Any longer than that, and you're no longer dazzled by the flash and spectacle, and then you start seeing past the veneer and noticing the sad, grimy bedrock. No. Spoiler alert, I was there for 4 days. It ruled. I'm going to go back in 2 weeks. It's still going to rule.
Do you know there's people that live in the sewers? There's a whole society down there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What? For real?
There's a door down to the sewers, like under the castle in the Excalibur. Like there's just like little hidey holes where you can get in, but there's like
it's extraordinarily dangerous though, because like they're about to enter monsoon season. So when I'm there for DEF CON, it almost always rains. And when it rains, it is like bad. It floods out a bunch of casinos because the desert doesn't exactly hold a ton of water. It's very, very, very dry. So when it rains, it just washes out. And those very generous, large cavernous sewers are there for a reason, because it needs to hold the level of water that can come through. So it is an extraordinarily dangerous living. But yes, there are chuds.
Yeah, I think my take on Vegas is it's like a really good meal that I don't want to have again for a few months or years. Like I had a good time. I like Vegas. I think Vegas is a lot of fun. But I'm like, I'm full. I'm good on it. That being said, though,
you should go without being pestered by libertarians for 4 days.
Yeah, you're doing Vegas wrong.
Listen,
if
that's
your
a
vibe.
whole other fucking thing. Jen, the Lord's work is being done for your leftist positions by just anybody that sits with libertarians for more than 20 minutes. Like that is more likely to make them go, fuck you, I'm a communist, than anything you've ever said. Like they're really irritating.
Yeah, no, but when you're rolling with Billy Binion, Reasons Billy Binion, and your favorite enchanted coat rack, Andrew Heaton, let me just tell you, just by being around the two of them, it is a non-stop autism parade. They just all walk up to you and just want to talk about the one time that the one thing happened.
I have a manifesto about Hayek versus Rothbard.
Actually, no, you want to know what?
Plastic Walmart sack I'd like to talk to you about.
Let me describe it even more succinctly. A higher propensity than you would expect of poorly delivered joke openings or sarcasm openings. Like, so it won't even lead with the let me talk to you about political stuff. That's what they want to get to. But they will start by either like negging on a level that seems like a grave personal insult because they haven't developed the human language to deliver it in a warm and friendly manner, or don't know that you shouldn't open up a conversation by saying your shirt's wrong or something like that. Or it'll be a joke that just doesn't land at all. And then eventually you just stand there until they say, oh my God, I love Reason and I really love your videos and I really love your writing, Billy, and blah, 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 blah. But like, yeah, that is its own thing.
That's
Very
also
nice, but
not a
exhausting.
real Vegas trip, Andrew.
You know, I went out for one night. I left the Strip. I've got a couple of local friends in Las Vegas, Alice Navon and John Krikorian, who I've known a few years. We went out, we had sushi, and then we went to a sci-fi themed karaoke bar, and I had a great time. And they were giving me the tour of Las Vegas. It was true. I like Vegas. I think it's a fun city. I just think it's very easy to overdo it. It's kind of like you go on a roller coaster and you're like, okay, I'm done with roller coasters for a few days.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as you get off the Strip, you realize that Vegas is a very small town. It has a lot more in common with Boise than it does Los Angeles. Everybody kind of knows each other. Everybody's connected. It was one of the things when I went out there to cover the primary that essentially didn't exist. I was shocked because there was no yard signs. And part of the thing that I eventually deduced is that it's a factory town. Everybody is connected to the tourism industry on one level or another. So that means it's your friend knows a guy or you have a friend that's booking a thing. And so it's kind of refreshing that they don't want to politically be out there all that much. They vote at a very high level, but they don't put their allegiance out on Front Street because you never know who the next guy that is going to book you is, and you don't want to mess up those waters. So it is a fascinating place, and also off strip rules, downtown rules. There are some of the best food I've ever had in my life is off strip in Las Vegas. So I would encourage everybody to do that. The original shot in a beer writes Capri Sun with a Little Debbie Star Crunch after a baseball or soccer game. Good times.
Agreed.
Whatever, man. We Gen Xers have been holding this shit together for 25 years now with nothing but duct tape, chewing gum, by the way, duct tape spelled D-U-C-K, chewing gum, a few paper clips, and a shit ton of MacGyver-ish willpower, and we're tired. So yeah, we're selling everything, cashing out, downsizing our lives to a tiny home, and moving to the cheapest piece of land we can own outright, be that in the southeastern USA or better yet, South America. We've been putting up with the boomers selfishly dominating this place all of our lives. We've done what we could to make it work and to teach our kids the best we can. Well, here you go, millennials. Have at it. You're free to run this place, but please don't expect us to help you. Life has been beating the shit out of us for 50 years. We've been doing everything we can to keep this place from burning down, and nobody has been listening to our warnings that it's on fire.
This is exactly the Gen Z garbage I was talking about. This slacker generation, like we've done
Gen
nothing,
X,
but
Gen
we've
X,
yes, Gen X. We've done nothing, but we've done everything. And the boomers have been selfishly dominating. Kick them out. Kick them out. And now that you've done nothing, there's been no Gen X president. You've ceded the power to the boomers. You haven't fought shit. And after doing nothing, you're like, we quit.
millennials, it's your problem now. Like, this is so Gen X.
I saw Pearl Jam for $10. Houses were still affordable.
You know what? I don't have any great sense of identity in my age cohort. This feels to me like only slightly better than horoscopes. I don't know. I don't feel any great kinship with other millennials. I don't feel any I don't view Gen X as a thing. Like, it's just when people happen to be born.
But it's the Gen Xers that do. Like, Gen Xers are so proud of their latchkey kidness, and they think they're so fucking tough and cool. And like, you can hear it in this email. Like, we're really fucking tough. We've done everything. We've been in the shit. And now we're just going to like give up. Like, there is this vibe about them, and they're so proud to be a part of it. Like, I don't go around even saying that I'm a millennial, but Gen Xers do. So that's why they bug me. It's just like, shut the fuck up.
They remind me
go
of the
listen
thing
to Kurt
that
Cobain and cry.
They remind me of the thing that I hate the most about libertarians, some libertarians, which is that they don't actually, for as much as they like to talk about their philosophy, they're really just there to say they didn't vote for one of the two presidential candidates. They're really just there to say that I didn't vote for Kodos, don't blame me. That's it, right? And so like Gen Xers, they had a huge cultural impact. You were there at the beginning of the internet. Guess what? The revolution that happened entirely in my cohort with people that were in college that when I was in college. You totally ceded any power that you have, and that's fine. If you wanted to do that, you wanted to take a pass, you wanted to just say whatever, man, and light up joint and say they should legalize it, that's fine. But just don't bitch about it. Like, that's the only thing. Now, to be fair, I don't hear this a lot, so I don't know if a lot of this is on TikTok or Reels or whatever, that I'm just like it's not in my ecosystem. But I just wanted to include that so I could rip on any Gen Xer who's like,
I enjoy you all
could.
shitting on them, but I don't know. It's not like generations have congresses where like all the baby boomers get together and figure out how their generation's going to respond to shit. It's not like the Gen Xers have a council. Like, they didn't seed anything because there is no group to seed it. It's just a bunch of people. It's a bunch of individuals that happen to be born between particular dates.
Yeah,
who
but
were
for
into
a group
black
of
tar
people
heroin.
that claim to be holding this shit together for 25 years, they sure as hell didn't organize and kick the boomers out. Like, they've just haven't done it. And they haven't had their generation have a president. In fact, we went backwards on their watch. We went like boomer, then back to silent generation. Like, we're going backwards in age. So it's just like Justin said, Gen Xers, you want to sit there, do nothing, be cool, wear flannel, like, fine, do your thing. But don't claim that you've been working so hard to save things and now your job is done. Like, just shut the fuck up. It's basically all I'm asking you to do.
There we go. A Simple Bargain writes, I turned 40 this year and I'm under no illusion that I will ever draw on Social Security, but I wanted to strike a bargain with the progressives out there to save it. Let there be open enrollment periods for Medicare and Social Security with knowable premiums, coverages, pension accounts that follow individuals and grow based on contributions and maturity, with a requirement for some high percentage of premiums and contributions to be placed in a safe, easily convertible investment to maintain liquidity. All I want is, in exchange, that payroll taxes fully go away, both for the employer and the employee. If I choose not to participate during open enrollment and to repeal the ACA so disaster care policies are legal once more, I know I can do a better job of growing that money on my own and buying my own health care.
Hard pass, no way, because the only thing that this would do
You're
is break-
conscripted, slave.
Okay.
Work harder.
Can I talk?
I'm done.
I think all this would do is break Medicare and Social Security, because if you don't have it be in some way like universal, if it's like a buy-in thing, you have the same problem that the Affordable Care Act has, because you need to have kind of everyone participate, especially with Social Security, to make the finances work out. And even that we're struggling with. But the part that I really take umbrage with is the idea that we should repeal the Affordable Care Act so disaster care policies are legal once more. First of all, they are legal right now. They're just called something different. They're called high deductible plans. Those are catastrophic plans. They're just repackaged. You can buy them right now. But when you say that you can just buy your own health care, where? Because what the Affordable Care Act did at its heart was create the store for you to go and buy health care if you're not connected to an employer. Like,
it created the marketplace. Because before the Affordable Care Act, I was in that horrible situation of not having a corporate overlord paying for my healthcare, and buying my own healthcare was almost impossible to compare. I had no idea what I was getting in return for my money. It turns out that a physical cost me $400. By repealing the Affordable Care Act, that's what you're going back to. You won't have healthcare.gov created by the Affordable Care Act listing all the plans for you and telling you what they do. You also wouldn't have the most important part of the Affordable Care Act, which are the essential health benefits. These are things like preventative care, ambulances, hospital stays that the health insurance companies have to give you in return for your premiums. If you get rid of the ACA, all of that is gone. So it's like, if you want a private market to exist at all, the Affordable Care Act is necessary. So it's like you're saying, like, your solution to this, buy your own healthcare, it's facilitated by the thing you want to repeal.
If we get rid of the Haunted House Construction Act, then we will not have a haunted house per state that nobody likes being in and menaces anybody that comes near it. What I assume he is talking about is concierge medical care, which is more and more popular, but essentially just there's like a thin layer of bureaucracy on top of a network where you are doing direct cash deals with all of the medical services that you would otherwise use health insurance for. So it's a pay-as-you-go model, but those are more popular. And if you are dealing with list prices for things, it is for some more manageable than health insurance, and especially palatable to people that are in our place where you're not on a gigantic employer.
Which, like, if you want concierge medicine, it exists. Go ahead and buy that on your own. But by removing the protections for everyone else, no.
Real quick, Jen, I don't know as much about this. Are you saying that you couldn't get private healthcare outside of a corporation prior to ACA, or just the platform that lists them as the ACA?
So the platform that lists them was created by the ACA. So it's like, to be put on that website in the marketplace, there were certain rules your plans had to follow. And so after the ACA, if your plan's not in there, it could be garbage. It could cover nothing. Like, there are standards that you have in that marketplace. Before the ACA, like, I could go to Blue Cross Blue Shield or United or whatever and look around their website and try and find something, but there was no uniformity to it. There was no guarantee of coverage. Like, the terms were tricky. It was just like, and like, there were no rules, essentially. So that's why when I went in for a standard ass physical, I didn't even get blood tests. They charged me $400, even though it said that it would just be like, a $20, $40 copay. So the rules were just Wild West. Insurance could do whatever the fuck they want. What protected you before that, and it really didn't. I mean, my friend got cancer and her bone marrow transplant was denied. But in theory, what protected you before that was you would be getting your healthcare through your employer. And because the employer was in this like bigger group, they could kind of create the better plan and fight with the insurance companies for you. But in reality, that didn't happen. So it was a horrific system. And so even though I think you and I have talked about this a lot of times, Andrew, that like we hate the system that we have, but there are basic protections that the Affordable Care Act gave us that I think we take for granted every day. And they're keeping this system together with the glue and scotch tape.
I think healthcare is the most complex policy realm I've ever looked at. Like, it's massive, and I'm not an expert in it, and I'm not even close to an expert in it. So I don't want to weigh into it too much. The basic idea that they're going to be minimum guaranteed protections, I like. We're going to have to pay for them. They're not going to be free. It's going to increase the cost of healthcare for everybody. So like, I'm willing to make that deal. The platform bit I'm less concerned about. I don't think you have to, like, if it's just listing them so that you can compare them, I don't think you have to have the ACA to have a platform. But I'm going to back away from this to the original Social Security premise that you brought up. So you're 40, you're in the same age cohort as I am. I was raised like you, being told you were not going to have Social Security, don't plan on Social Security. I think that that's actually a pretty good plan. The data right now is that you and I, being in our 40s, will probably get about 75% of what we were supposed to get of Social Security. So Social Security you're getting what, a percentage of the 5 best years of your career that you were contributing to Social Security. It's an algorithm based off of that. If nothing else changes and we just start having to pay less and less of it, you and I will get Social Security, but we're going to get about 3/4 of what we were promised. If nothing else changes, Bella's going to get like maybe 50%. So she'll be putting in her whole life. She'll get about 50% of it. I think that maybe a very abbreviated way to look at the current Social Security system is there's sort of 3 different options we could do in terms of outcome. One is universal retirement supplemental income, which is what we're currently doing for anybody that contributed to it, and it's unsustainable and it's just not going to work. The other one is downward transfers of wealth, where we give Social Security as a supplement to people that are poor, but we don't give it to everybody. I favor this one. This would be means testing. Or it's an upward transfer of wealth. That would be where we uncap it on everybody, and everybody currently on Social Security gets the money. Then people that are working are giving it to everybody, including rich people. So those are sort of, in my mind, the 3 different routes we could go. I would prefer that we use Social Security moving forward more as a safety net and less as a pension system. But if we keep using it as we're doing it, yeah, you and I are going to get about 25% less of what we put in, or what we were promised.
And finally, please stop spreading misinformation, writes Jen has simplified how retirement investing works. You invest in stocks when you're young. As you get older, you move assets to bonds, which are less volatile. Still somewhat volatile, but not nearly as chaotic as living day-to-day off trading. Jen, you probably already know this, but too many of my friends don't have any retirement savings, and oversimplifications like yours make it harder to get them to save. People should have a 401k to supplement their Social Security plans, especially if Social Security goes bankrupt, and young people get screwed to cover the gap.
So I don't know your friends, but I don't think anything I'm saying is getting your friends not to contribute to a 401k. There's a lot of things that contribute to people not having a 401k. One is like, I'm an entrepreneur. I don't have access to a 401k. So I use a SEP IRA for my retirement savings, but that's like a choice that I make to take extra cash. Like I don't have to contribute to that, but I know enough to know that I should. But like that's my version of a 401k. If you don't have an employer that offers you a 401k or like especially a 401k match, like you might not be putting money into it. Also, you might not put money into it because you have no extra money. Like that's a big problem here. The 3 of us on this panel have disposable income. And we are, at least I believe from conversations that we have, I think we are all doing the saving that we feel like we have to do. We're financially literate. We're doing those things. But we are not the majority. The majority of people in this country have no stocks whatsoever. It's about 52% of us, the last time I checked, have no stocks at all. That includes in 401ks. If you're someone who is counting pennies in order to pay your electricity bill, you're not putting money into a 401k. That's why it doesn't work as retirement savings for everyone, because not everyone has that disposable income. Not everyone can do the savings. And so when it comes to Social Security, even if you're working at McDonald's, you're paycheck to paycheck, some of that is going into a pension system where you'll get something when you're in your 60s and 70s. Like that's the whole point of it. But 401ks, it's a very individualistic system. And that's why we're going to see a major problem. And they talk about this in hearings all the time, that the 401k system was never designed to be our entire retirement system. It was supposed to supplement Social Security. And then there were other ideas they were kicking around. But because it was cheaper for companies, they liked the 401k system. And so we have pushed 401ks
Cheaper
to become the main savings.
Than what?
Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. It was what was cheaper for companies is the payroll taxes. They didn't have to pay that. It put more, like the companies are paying some into the 401k, but then you have the employee paying into the system. So like they did save money in ways that right now I don't have the notes in front of me, but like there were companies that pushed for the 401k system to begin with. If you guys want to talk about fucking Social Security and get down into the details, how about we make this a topic someday?
I'm just trying to understand the point. Sorry. I didn't mean to put you on the...
I think
let me finish my point before you stomp all over it. Okay. The point that I'm trying to make is that 401ks are money left over out of your paycheck, or you work for a boss that contributes to it. If you are someone who works in a job that has no 401k plan, you're an entrepreneur, you have to put in extra money. That isn't your friends being financially irresponsible. That's your friends trying to pay the bills. And in this country, there is a huge % of us that are in that position. So I don't think that it's irresponsible
that they don't have 401ks. I think it's completely understandable. And we shouldn't say that my oversimplifications are making it harder for them to save. The reality of our economic system is making it hard for them to save.
I'm going to invert that a little bit. Social Security wasn't designed to be a retirement fund. It was designed to be supplemental security. That's why we call it security. It was an insurance program. No, it's, I think, been actually very successful in that regard, because the idea behind Social Security was we don't want to have any old people that are like eating cat food. And since the advent of Social Security, poverty among senior citizens has dropped. I think you can look at that as an example of a government program that's been efficacious. Now, it's not funded properly, and there are a lot of big problems with it, but in terms of the end goal, it has been. But it wasn't designed to be a retirement fund. It was designed to be supplemental income to make sure that nobody's destitute at the bottom. So that was meant to be a backstop that accompanied whatever your retirement program is. So 401ks, Roth IRAs, SEP IRAs, those are the thing that are your retirement fund. That's what the bulk of your income should be coming from as you get older. The Social Security is not meant to be the bulk of it. It's meant to be supplemental.
Okay, and so what happens to the people that don't have the extra money to put into those programs?
Well, the first thing I would do is just don't do whatever Elizabeth Warren wants. If we want everybody to have more money, we need to have a bigger economy, right? And get everybody there. But the second thing I would do is, again, we can either treat this as a wealth transfer program, or we can treat it as a pension program. I think that presently it's not sustainable as a pension program. I would rather treat it as a wealth transfer program.
Hold on.
I think we should treat
My question wasn't about Elizabeth Warren or Social Security. It was about 401ks.
Yeah.
If you are someone who doesn't have the money to put into an IRA or 401k at the end of your paychecks, you are paycheck to paycheck for your entire working life. What do you do?
You should be receiving Social Security. I'm not saying we should get rid of Social Security. Is that when I'm not saying we should get rid of it. I am in favor of social safety nets. I think we should have them. I think Social Security has been efficacious as a social safety net.
Okay, but it's clearly not enough to retire on. You said that was never even the point of it. And so if we are depending on the 401ks to fund people's retirement, and we know Social Security can't do it, what do we do about that?
You're talking about kind of the retirement equivalent of like food stamps or something like that. Like, I want there to be food stamps. I don't think everybody should be on food stamps. With it as a retirement program, there should be supplemental income, absolutely, for people that are poor. We're going to have poor old people. They're the most vulnerable. We need to be taking care of them. My thing would be we should be figuring out how to take care of people at the bottom, and we should be avoiding trying to do things that are going to be upward transfers of wealth. So if we're going to use Social Security, if we can't currently fund Social Security, which we can't, and we're going to add more money to it to ensure that everybody currently getting money from it continues to get it, that becomes an upward transfer of wealth, because most of the assets in the country are owned by people that are over 65. I don't think they need additional money. I think we can either do means testing and make sure it goes to people at the bottom, or we can put a onus of work on everybody currently working to ensure that it's kind of like a UBI for older people. I don't think the UBI element of it is sustainable. I think it needs to be more like welfare or food stamps or something like that.
Alternative, Logan's Run. We're Not Wrong is a production of Dog and Pony Show Audio. Our editor is Will Saddleberg. On PX3 this week, Bill Scher on to talk about the Graham-Plattner mess and where Maine goes from here. Also, I break down the Michigan primary, which is the last big major primary. It is now a head-to-head competition between Haley Stevens and Abdul El-Sayed for the battle of the soul of the Democratic coalition. I break down what it is, who they need to win, and all the rest. On Friday, the rise of gray money, not tracked money, not dark money, gray money in the midterms with notices. Dave Leventhal. Good times. Mr. Andrew Heaton, who's stumbling into the orphanage.
The Amish. As I was leaving Washington, D.C. and driving to Oklahoma here 3 weeks ago, I actually used ChatGPT to plot some of the course. I went, hey, I'm going to be staying at these various locations. Given my interests and my podcast, what are some potential sites that I could go to that either I would find interesting or I might get a guest out of? And it brought up like, well, you're going to be driving straight through Amish country. You could maybe talk to them. So I, by a miracle, was able to get a hold of the director of the Amish and Mennonite Center I say miracle because it turns out the Amish aren't super email oriented. So me coordinating this particular scheduling element was really by the seat of its pants. Like literally I drove out there and was like, hey, is Dr. Yoder around? And they were like, oh, I think I saw him earlier. And I was like, all right. So I rummaged through the bookstore. And then when I left, he ran after me, had a really good hour and a half long conversation with this Amish guy, or I should technically Mennonite. He was raised Amish. Now he's Mennonite. We get into the whole thing, but he can speak very effectively on behalf of them. I was extremely impressed. I came away very, very keen on Amish and Mennonite people and asked him every fucking question I've ever wanted to ask Amish people. Like, is Rumspringa real? Like, why can't you use electricity? Why can you use gas but not electricity? We get into all of that. And then the bit that I'm most excited about, Justin and Jen, is at the end of the interview, I mentioned, like, I saw your very large bookstore. I gathered that these are very literate people. I even saw a couple of books that almost looked like romance novels. And he's like, yes, they're called bonnet rippers. And I went, wait, what? Like a bodice ripper? And he's like, yeah, they're called bonnet rippers. They're Amish romance novels. He gave me 2. And I'm going to be passing them out as gifts to patrons of the show. There are great. 2 bonnet rippers that I have in my house, right, or my parents' house right now that I'm going to mail out. But anyway, anything you've ever wanted to know about the Amish, you can find that out on the Political Orphanage this week.
Heaton, I can't believe it's taken us this long. You got to go native. You got to, I think you got to assimilate into big Amish. I feel like this is the move for you. It removes you from so many of the things that vex you. They largely live in temperate climates because they don't deal with, the things that technology is required for. I think this is your move. Go, you could have your pick of the litter out there, handsome man like you committing himself to God, pushing barns up. I feel like it'd be good for your upper arm strength. This is going to be great.
Have you seen their hands? They have big hands.
Yeah.
Also, they look to be happy. In the introduction I'm talking about, as you're driving into Amish country, you see these people in horse and buggies, and they look way happier than people driving their Honda Civic to work in a city. And I'm like,
you're gonna need to give yourself back to the Lord. You're gonna have to be the prodigal son in return. But other than that, I think it's gonna be.
Maybe that'll be what Act 2 is.
Oh, dude, I think just 15 little Amish Heatons running around by the end of the decade.
Do we think the Amish would approve of the fuck bus?
It'll be a fuck carriage when he's done with it.
Yeah, I just have to get horses. And fuck it within the confines of marriage. I think they'd be fine with it.
Oh my
also,
God. Yeah.
The scamp pulled by horses sounds fucking amazing.
Also, just
Jen, you might have just came up with my next midlife crisis activity, which is figuring out how to convert this into a carriage. Like, have a thing put on the front where the propane currently is, and then dock it with horses. This sounds fucking amazing.
Also, by the way, just go into town and cheat. What are they going to do? Tell on you? They're not on Facebook. It's fine. You can do whatever the fuck you want with these people.
Yeah. Just go to Vegas.
Yeah. Jen.
So the latest episode of Congressional Dish was about everything that happened in June. So I kind of mentioned it, but I did read the Secure America Act, and there's more to it than I think the media is aware of since they don't read these fucking things. But I think between the Big Beautiful Bill and the Secure America Act, when eventually members of Congress get into these detention centers and we hear the stories of the people that have been trapped there for months, if not years, we're going to look back on these 2 laws and say, this is what caused these scandals. My crystal ball is screaming this at me. So you'll hear all about that law. We also had 4 other new laws, including one that's going to possibly make your phone annoy you a lot. I also
must push notifications.
It's push more notifications for shark attacks.
Get the fuck at. We are already at a crisis.
Wait,
in fact, I might be a single issue
that.
voter on this.
It's like an Amber Alert for shark attacks.
Right.
No.
Because Amber Alerts, I don't know what I can do. I'm like, all right, if I see a guy diddling a child, I'll intervene. I was going to do that anyway. But like, Shark Alert, though, I actually want to know about, particularly when I'm in Oklahoma. Like, if that pops up on my phone now, I fucking want to know.
Oh my God, dude. Everybody in Austin got woken up a few months ago because a cop got shot in Houston. It was a blue alert, which it's like, look, I'm not here to bash cops or say that they should be shot or anything. You should take all available precautions. That being said, what am I going to do? It's 2:00 in the morning. I'm dead asleep. I'm not, this is absolutely ridiculous. There's too many Too many. In fact, that might be my libertarian thing. When I go and neg somebody at Reason, I'll just be like, and by the way, we need to abolish the authoritarian
I
push
turned all
alerts.
these off on my phone years ago. Isn't there? Like, there's a setting you can just turn them all off. I haven't gotten
Not the Amber
an
alerts.
Amber or Silver notice in 8 years.
Oh, I turned off whatever I could, but there's still a bunch. Also, enough with aerial floods. I don't want to know. It used to just be called a torrential downpour. Everybody survived, and it's not even for sure. Like, at least let the rain hit and then say, oh, by the way, this might be big. Get out
A
of
year
here.
ago, there was a massive flood that killed a lot of people just outside of Austin. So I'm
think
okay with the
I
flood
want to know.
alerts.
I want to have alerts for sharks, as previously noted.
No, flash flood is a different story. Flash flood is a different story than aerial flood. Aerial flood is just, it's going to rain a lot in an area. Flash flood is that, and we're getting flash flood warnings now. Flash flood is like, hey, you should take precautions, and there should be those. I'm fine with those. I just don't need to know when it's going to rain, in a large enough area. Like, I have any sense of what the fuck that means to me.
Well, and I think the radius is the problem, right? Because like the one that you mentioned, a cop was shot in Houston, but we get those in Austin for Amber Alerts too. And it's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Look for a license plate 3.5 hours away?
I know.
Like they're ridiculous.
Get outta
And so
here.
now shark attack warnings are coming. And then I also talk about some of the war issues and what Congress is doing about it because they flip-flopped hard in the Senate on the Iran war. So I'll explain to you exactly why with sound clips. And then there was a really insane debate in the House with some terrible behavior about our military participation in Lebanon. And so I give you all the drama there because there was some really bad behavior that I think deserves to have a spotlight on it. We also had some crazy confirmations. And so, yeah, weirdly busy month in June. And so that's what is sitting there waiting for you on Congressional Dish.
All right. Well, for Jen Briney and Andrew Heaton, I'm Justin Robert Young, reminding you that we're not wrong. I was going to make a dark joke about Lindsey Graham. Fuck, no, I can't do that. Mark Zuckerberg's fake abs are.
Remember when we used to just say we're not wrong?
I know, but then, I don't know, people like the other thing. Then I stopped doing it, and then people wanted it again. Whatever. You fucking vultures. Get out of here.
Dog and Pony Show audio.